Hi guys, my name is Elle. I am a 22-year-old master's student educational sciences from the Netherlands, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about all things studying and education. So today is a bit more of a casual laid-back video, but yeah, so the thing is, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I live together with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend is half French, half Croatian, and in 3 days I'm going to be leaving for Brussels, where his family lives. And because everyone in the family speaks French, it would be very convenient if I could do that too. I've had some French in high school and I've been trying a bit on and off to improve my French, trying to talk to my boyfriend when we're just chilling at home. But yeah, I'm still far from the level where I should be to sit at a dinner table with a group of people that are speaking French and be able to participate in a conversation. So that's why I wanted to challenge myself to learn French in 3 days. No, I don't actually think that I will be able to learn proper French in 3 days, but at least I want to sort of do a crash course, refresh all the knowledge that I have, make sure that I know like the 500 or 1000 most used words and know how to conjugate the most used verbs, just so I can participate in conversations at the dinner table during Christmas. So yeah, that's the plan for today, I guess. And I also thought this would be a very good way to try out RemNote. My screen is very dark, you can see it. But RemNote is kind of similar like Notion, but it's built for students to support linking ideas and spaced repetition, which are both scientifically proven ways to remember what you study better. So I just found out about the existence of this, I think like 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I've really been dying to try it out. But in my master's, I don't really have exams anymore, so I don't really have to remember a lot of stuff anymore. So that just doesn't really work for trying this out. But of course, language learning should work very well with this program, especially because my whole issue is that I never actually remember the things that I learn in the long term because I forget to repeat it often enough. But RemNote helps with that by just giving you a notification, letting you know when you have not studied something for too long, so that you can go and restudy it. And then that constant repetition helps you to actually remember the stuff you learn. So yeah, I've been very curious to try it out. I thought this was the perfect opportunity, and I guess I'll just get into it. So yeah, I got these 3 books from my mom as resources to use, but I guess since I only have 3 days, I'm definitely not going to get through them all. So I think I'm going to use the Pareto principle for language learning, and the official Pareto principle states that 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes. I think that's the correct formulation. But for language learning, it basically means that if you just focus on the stuff that is used most often, then you will quite quickly be able to speak the language at a decent level. So that's what I'm going to do. So I think I will just leaf through these books and write down the things that I think that I really need to study in this 3 days. And since these books don't really have any vocabulary in them, I will also go on the internet and just look if I can find word lists with the most used words and the most used verbs. And then I'll write down what I want to do in these 3 days in RemNote, and then I will use that list to make a plan. I just finished going through all the books, and I have a list of the topics that I really want to cover. And then on top of that, I also found a list of the 1000 most common words and the 200 most common verbs. I'm not going to have to learn all of them because of course part of them I already know because I have been practicing French a bit already. But now I'm just going to compile all the stuff that I want to cover in the next 3 days, and then I can see exactly how much it is, and then I can make a planning for how I'm actually going to practice that. So now I finished the first part, so everything that comes from the grammar booklets that I had. So I will just take you through everything that I just did so I can show you some of the cool things that RemNote does. So RemNote in a way is a lot like Notion. You just work in bullet point. So it's all in linear bullet points, as you can see here. And then all those bullet points can expand. And then what is also really cool is that if you press one of these dots, you get a new page that only contains the bullet points underneath that bullet point that you just clicked, if that makes sense. And then within a bullet point, you can very easily create flashcards. So I'm just seeing if I can remember what the shortcuts are. So for a left to right flashcard, you type 2 right arrows. Then for a right to left flashcard, you can type 2 left arrows. Makes sense. Then for a two-way flashcard, you can type a left arrow, right arrow. And then if you want to make a list flashcard, so where you can test yourself on every item on a list, first you have to type something and then you can press 3 times right arrow. And then the last type of arrow is a numbered list. So if you have something in order, it is you type something and then you do a right arrow, 1 dot, and then you get a numbered list. So that is super convenient because it's very, very easy to make flashcards. I don't think I've ever seen a program that makes it so effortless to create your flashcards. So that's really nice. And then if you want to see your flashcard, you can click on the arrow and then it shows you what the flashcard will look like. And what I also really like is that RemNote gives you some context for your flashcards. So here, I typed it in Dutch because I am Dutch and it's easier to learn a new language from my first language than from my second language. So this is about the suffix and then the gender of words. So how the suffix relates to the gender of the word. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, if I would just see stripe, age, I would be like, what? But now that I have this context here, I know exactly what it's about and what it refers to, and that makes it a lot easier to fill in the flashcard. So I also thought that that was a very nice thing that RemNote does. So yeah, that was just a quick update on how I experienced RemNote up till now. So now I will just continue making flashcards for my vocabulary list and for my verbs. Little break is also important. I just realized that eating a croissant is very, very in style of this video. Remember to stay hydrated. Okay, after that well-deserved break, let's get back into it. So now I got all the verb conjugations down, and then the only thing, it's a lot, but the only thing left to do is to make flashcards for all the vocabulary that I want to practice. So I will do that. I now have all my vocabulary ready. It's so annoying. I've been really trying to improve my pronunciation of French, and now sometimes when I have to say a word in English or in Dutch that's also French, I say it with this like really horribly snobby French accent. That's not the greatest side effect of learning French, but it doesn't happen on purpose. And now that I have everything in here, I just wanted to play around a bit with all the things that I can do with RemNote. I added a tiny bit of organization. This whole vocabulary list is still a bit of a big mess, but it's just random most common words. So there's not really a lot that I can use to organize it. I'll maybe look into it later, but for now it's good enough, I think. So I added some color coding for the genders, and then for the grammar I just added headers to make it a bit a bit more organized. And then I also added some rem references. So here I have some verbs that conjugate in the same way as other verbs, and then I added a reference, and then when I click that I can find back what it references to, which is one of the things that I really like about RemNote. And then another thing that I figured out about RemNote is that if you have these list rems or list flashcards, I don't really know what terminology they use, but if you have these types of list flashcards, then they are not automatically like two-way, they are automatically only one way, so from left to right. But if you click the arrow, then you can decide to put them two ways. So that's also something that I didn't know, which I just found out, which seems really nice and useful. And yeah, now that I have everything in here, I guess it's time to test myself and see how much I know and remember, and then hope that the spaced repetition algorithm will help me to implant all of this in my brain. So yeah, that's what I will do. Wow, that's super yellow, that's ugly AF. That looks better. Yeah, so I now really regret my life decisions because, as you could probably see just now, I had 450 rem, which is like 450 flashcards that I need to get through, and I just did 50 and I'm absolutely brain dead already. So I'm not sure if this is working out. I do actually want to try to get through I would like half of them, but I'm not sure if I will actually be able to do that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to watch some French vlogs to calm down my brain a bit. And of course, just get used to listening to French again, because like listening and speaking are the two things that are the worst by far. So yeah, my brain has died. I cannot do flashcards anymore. I am going to binge YouTube, and then I hope that later today I can get back to at least part of it, but I'm not sure. I think I just completely overestimated how much I was going to be able to do in 3 days. Blah. So it's the next morning. Yesterday evening I did one more round of flashcards on RemNote, and then I had to stop because I had a cocktail party with my friends, which was really fun. But yeah, I've been thinking about it, and as I told you, I had like 450 rem, and I just don't think that that's gonna happen. I tried to get through it, but the way the spaced repetition algorithm works is that if you indicate that you don't know something, it will just pop up again. So then the count of the amount of flashcards goes down, but then if I start it up now, it's again like 420 or something. So yeah, although I really liked RemNote for making the flashcards, I do think that it is quite important to make sure that you don't make too many flashcards at once, because with the spaced repetition algorithm, that just doesn't really work. Because if you are studying something that contains a lot of like terminology and stuff that you really don't know yet, then the sheer amount of flashcards that you have to go through can get quite discouraging, because yeah, I'm just fully discouraged right now. But I also realized that this is probably not the most efficient way to use the Pareto principle, because I was watching a vlog from Piece of French. Here I go again with the stupid R. But I watched a vlog from her, and she said that once you have a bit of a grasp of the basics of a language, it's actually better to just immerse yourself in it and stop going through lists and trying to memorize words, because you will just be plateauing at an intermediate level, which I of course do not want, because I want this 3-day crash course to enable me to speak French with my boyfriend's French family. So I was thinking about things that I could do to immerse myself in French more. Like, of course, I already watch some French YouTube videos, and I watch a French show on Netflix called Osmosis. But I think what I need is French knowledge on topics that we will probably talk about at the dinner table, and of course also dinner related topics like cutlery and that kind of stuff, and just topics that interest me or that have to do with my education, the program that I'm doing, so that I can just talk to his family a bit about the things that I'm doing currently in my life. For now, I think I'm just gonna see if I can find some resources on YouTube that I can watch, and that's the new plan. And I guess I just want to finish this section off with saying that it's not bad to abandon a plan if it's not working. Don't get stuck in this sunk cost fallacy of, oh, but I already put so much time and effort into trying to get this plan to work and it doesn't work out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So it's way better to just abandon the plan and find a new way to reach your goal than to keep trying and trying and trying, working with a plan that didn't work in the first place. Because yeah, I was already considering like, oh my god, am I even going to upload this vlog? Am I even going to post this on YouTube? But actually I think this is just a fair representation of how learning works. Sometimes you make a plan and then you realize the plan doesn't work, and then you make another plan and you try that plan and you keep trying plans until you find one that works. So as you can probably see from the lighting, it has been a while. The last thing I did was watch that video about the news and write down some of the words that I didn't know in RemNote. And I feel like I sort of understood how to best use RemNote, because the problem with RemNote is just it's very easy to make flashcards, but I think the trap here, or the pitfall here, is that you might feel inclined to immediately make a lot of flashcards at once. But the problem with that is just that your brain doesn't really process the flashcards that you're making. There's too much time in between you actually making the flashcards and then revising them. So you basically don't really remember anything. And then this huge pile of flashcards just feels like this unovercomable mountain of stuff that you need to do. But now I think I had like 15 words or something that came from the video. It probably also helped that they came from the video, so I had some context around the words. The thing with how your brain works is that it's based on connection, so the more things you can relate a certain word to, the easier it will be for you to remember it. So I guess if you want to use RemNote for language learning, I would also definitely recommend to try this approach as well. So watch a video on a topic that you're interested in, make flashcards with the words that you didn't know yet, and then immediately after, if it's a long video, like halfway through when you have about maybe 10 to 20 flashcards, to then already revise those flashcards, because then you just keep everything very manageable. When you actually practice the flashcards, you will notice that you know a decent amount, you are able to remember a decent amount, instead of just going through this pile of flashcards and you're just like, I don't remember this, I don't remember this, I don't remember this, and it just goes on and on and on, because that's just very discouraging. And no one likes to be discouraged while learning, because that makes you unmotivated, and then you're not gonna do anything, and then you're not getting anywhere. We want to avoid that vicious cycle. So yeah, I'm just going to get back to what I started. Oh yeah, and I forgot to remember, I also called my boyfriend. Français. Oh, français, oui. That's, I think, one way in which I can cheat a lot, is that I have a French-speaking boyfriend. That's also the reason why I have to learn French, but it also helps with learning French, because I just have a person that wants to talk to me in French. So yeah, those are the things that I did and that I'm gonna do, and I will check back in with you whenever I think I have something somewhat useful to say. So it's the third day of my 3-day crash course. So yesterday I took a break and then I still watched one episode of Osmosis. I don't know how to French pronounce it. Osmosis on Netflix. And now I wanted to get back to some vocabulary. So I'm going to start up RemNote and then see how much I have remembered from yesterday. So yeah, I watched a few more videos, and now comes the final part of this video, which is my final testing using RemNote. And yes, I know that in the end I actually didn't do by far as much as I wanted to do, but you know, on this channel I want to be honest and I want to set a realistic example and encourage a healthy mindset around studying and failure. So I think it's important that I also show you that if I have a big grand plan in my head, I don't always manage to bring it to fruition, and that's okay. Because I think I managed to do the most important part, which is just learn some vocabulary that I can use to speak to my boyfriend's family. So you know what, in the end, it's fine, you know? I did the bare minimum. But sometimes the bare minimum is also, okay, it's enough, it's fine. And yeah, I'm now just going to do the final Rem flashcard practice, and then I'll come back to close up this video. Video. So yeah, I really like trying out RemNote. I think it's an amazing resource for everyone that needs to do things, needs to study things that they also really need to remember. And yeah, I think that this technique that I used in these days, so to watch or listen to something and then make a list with the words that I didn't know yet in RemNote, and then use the flashcard function to test myself, to practice the words. I think it's a really great way to learn a language, because I think my problem with learning French is that, I mean, I can watch videos and I can look at TV shows, but I just don't repeat new words often enough that they actually stick. And then I'm sort of like plateauing at my intermediate level where I can sort of understand the gist of what someone says if they don't speak too fast. But I just never really get beyond that level. And yeah, I think this is a great approach to take if you don't just want to go through like lists of grammar and vocabulary, because honestly, once you have the basics of a language down, it's just also not the most important thing. And especially if you want to learn the language just to be able to hold a conversation, it's just not the most important part. So I just think that this is a very nice approach to take. So I would definitely recommend people to use this approach if they are already at a sort of intermediate level at a language but are struggling to progress further. And I definitely just think that RemNote is a great program to use with this method, just because it makes it so effortless to make those flashcards, and it implements the spaced repetition automatically, so you don't have to think about all that. So yeah, you know, even though I did not do as much as I wanted to do, I'm still very happy with how this week went. I learned a new approach to language learning that I'm definitely going to keep using, and I hope by sharing my journey with you, I inspired you to do the same. I really hope that you like this video, and if you do, it would be super nice if you could leave a like down below, because it really helps. And I would really like to know if you had ever heard of RemNote already, and if you've ever tried it yourself, what did you think of it? And also definitely let me know if you would like me to make more videos on RemNote. So then I guess that was all that I have to say for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you lots of love and a life of learning.